What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Capsule and welcome to 2024. I hope everybody had a good Christmas, New Year's. Hope you enjoyed our holiday content. Let us know if you did. It's just me here today. It's been a while since I've done one by myself. But for those that are new listeners, this is how the whole Capsule thing started. It was just me by myself talking into a camera. And then got some guests on, and now it's become what it is now. But yeah, so just me today. Probably try and keep it short, which is probably funny if you're looking at the time code now and seeing actually how long I did. You know, but I don't know how long this is going to be. So whenever I say I'm going to keep it short, I'm like, I end up being here for 7 hours. But yeah, we've also got this backdrop for people that are watching. This is, if I can move out of the way for you to see, this guy here is a fantastic dancer called Dwayne, and this was taken at a crump session. I was commissioned to take some pictures by a company that I don't want to promote, and they were exhibited, and this was at a crump session called For the Culture, which is run by Claire Howe. It was actually a sick session. It was really cool to shoot crumpers. Like, for photographers, like, crumpers are so sick to take pictures of. The facial expressions, the movement, everything is just... Even this is like... This was Dwayne, like, about to start his round, and it's just like... I don't know, it's just so picturesque. Like, they're so, like, in the moment. It's just dope to take pictures of crumpers. But yeah, so I thought I would renovate the studio, which just means change the picture in my background in my living room. But yeah, hope you like it, and at least now you know what you're tuning into. This is the Capsule. So, where to begin? Well, the first is probably, let's start off with the big announcement that we have to announce, which I've been saying is coming for a while. So the first announcement that we have is that the Capsule is now an official Nike London partner, which I'm super happy and excited about. Yeah, we're loving working with Nike, and I'm hoping there's going to be loads more things that are coming from it. The second announcement is that the Nike Own the Floor battle that happened in November went really well. We've talked about that, got lots of good feedback. It sounds like everyone really enjoyed the battle. People were asking if we're going to do another event. Here's the announcement. We are, but we thought, why do one new event when we could do 6? So what we're going to do is we are going to bring you 6 events, one every month for the next 6 months, the first half of the year. And we are going to basically, what the events are they're called Own the Floor sessions. Now, what that is going to be a monthly dancers night. It's going to be in Shoreditch at a place called Cachette London, which is such a dope venue. I'm so excited to be using that venue. But basically, we're going to have from 6 till midnight on a Friday night towards the end of every month. We're going to have just an open jam night. We're going to have a space for people to cypher, to train, however that works for you. If you want to, exchange with people, cypher, if you want to call people out, if you want to go on the side and work on some stuff. It's a free dancers space, but more in a kind of club environment. We've also got another room which is kind of for chilling and socializing, because I think one of the big things that we miss with a lot of these training sessions that we have is it's either for training or people go and hang out. Like, we don't have a space anymore where people can, besides the competitions, where people can train and hang out and socialize and get to know each other and stuff. So 2 rooms. What else is there to say? One of the things that we actually pivoted on a bit last minute, because after the battle, the idea of having the 2 DJs go back to back went down really well, and the DJs killed it at the Nike Own the Floor battle. So we said, you know what? let's get 2 DJs every session and have them do that concept. So they're going to go back to back for the whole night, DJing, and yeah, it's just a space for people to get down, to have fun, to get to know each other, to train, to get some rounds off. The 2 DJs that we're going to start with on the first event are going to be Josh and Glade, who were at the Nike Battle. They're going to be spinning all types of music. So this is for everyone. This isn't like only for the hip hop dancers or only for the poppers. Like, we want a space where everyone can come down. We're going to be playing music of all types, like kind of how it used to be, you know, where, like at JoJo's they would play house, but everyone would come. You know, at other nights they would play funk, but like everyone would come and do their thing on the different types of music. So we really want this to be a space where everyone can feel welcome. We know the house dancers and the whackers and the ballroom scene, like, you guys know what it means to party. So please come down and show people how it's done. But yeah, I'm super excited for this. Let me check my notes to see what else there is. Yeah, the only other thing is that the registration for the first event will open this Friday, which is the 12th. So registration for the first event will open this Friday, the 12th of January. And the first event will be Friday, the 26th of January. Put it in your diary. We're going to release the other dates, all 6, so that you have them. You can put them in your diary. But we wanted to start the year off with a bang. So that's your first event, is happening about 3 weeks from now, 2.5 maybe. So registration opens on the 12th, just to say that again, because if you know anything about the Nike Battle, the spaces went super quick and the line was round the corner. So if this is anything like that, get your tickets quick and be there on time to line up. Doors will open at 6 and we're going to go until midnight. So, yeah, we got plenty of time for hanging out. We wanted to make it as long of a night as we could with the venue, because we want you to be able to come and not have to just. One of the problems was, with a lot of sessions is like you go and you train and then you have to leave. You know, it's like you have a studio for 2 hours or something, which is stressful sometimes. Just sipping my morning coffee. So actually, let me talk about how this idea came about. So the original idea, I was having some conversations with Kieran Warner, and we were talking about, should we, put some sessions on in a studio? I have to shout out to, I think, like Lorena and Farah and people like that, who they're doing I think it's a weekly session now. So this is kind of like the same thing that we were thinking about doing, just like, putting on a session. They're doing a hip hop session, I believe. And we were like, should we just rent a studio and get people in and just do sessions and stuff? And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, it wasn't exactly the type of thing that I thought we should do. I think there's a few problems with the training sessions like that. They're great for us, for like, dancers who are actively battling or training in the community, who want to come and get some rounds in. And I think, for anyone that doesn't know, it tends to be what happens is, like, in London, dance studios are very expensive and places to dance are very expensive. And our weather is not the best. So what we do here, and I don't know how it is in other countries, other places have like open spaces and play, or, you can train outside, like people in Barcelona are training outside and stuff. And we tend to rent studios, but the problem is if there's 5 people renting a studio, then, if you want to get enough rounds in, you don't want maybe more than 5 people for like a 2-hour session or a 3-hour session. You could have more, but then it's like it takes longer to go round, especially in these type of sessions. People are doing 2-3 minute rounds sometimes. So if you want to get as many rounds as you can in and get your money's worth, you need less people, but then that costs you more money each. You end up paying like £15 or something to train. And if you do that every week, it's a lot. So, some people like what I was saying about Lorena and Farah and people like that will rent studios and like let people come and pay their part. Or some studios sometimes have put on open sessions. I know there was one at the Hub. But again, it's like the nature of this type of thing is that people are traveling and moving around, and sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not, which means in the weeks that they're not, whoever's organizing this session has to pay the extra. So it's just tough, and it's not as sustainable, like people, they tend to not last that long because there's always like an up and down flow, and it's hard to, you have to really commit to doing it over a long period, financially as well. So yeah, that was kind of where we were at. And the other kind of issues that I had with these type of sessions is just on a community level. For me, I enjoy going to them. I love doing them. But if I'm looking at like me as part of the Capsule, I think, it's hard to bring in beginner dancers because with any type of cypher, there's a certain type of vibe that you maintain. It's like having a conversation with like 5 people that are like mechanics and they know everything about cars. And then there's one person that's just starting to study cars. And it's like, it kind of, if 5 people are really going and talking about their thing and then one person comes in and doesn't really know as much, it's like, it's hard to keep that energy up. And it happens, we do bring people in that way, but it's also for them, it's a bit intimidating and hard work sometimes because you're seeing, especially if you know the people, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds by people that you look up to or who are really good. And then you have to go in and you're like, oh my God, this is the hardest environment to really like go. Some people rise to that and they really thrive in that type of environment. Some people don't, So it's just a potential downfall of these type of events, these type of sessions. The other thing is like I said, there's not really time to socialize. You sometimes you'll do that and then you'll go out for a drink or go out for coffee or go out for food afterwards, and that's fine, but it's not really the sort of place you can just rock up and like catch up with a friend. And so if I start talking about kind of the legacy of the open dance spaces in London especially, I mean, there's stuff that was way before my time, like Covent Garden, where it used to be like a hub for the poppers and I think the breakers, way back, like at the origins of like street dance in the UK. People used to go there and train and I think like do street shows and stuff like that, from the best of my knowledge. But then, more kind of when I came around, we had a club called Storm, which had a dancers night, Bar Rumba, which had a hip-hop night. I don't think it was strictly a dancers night, but it was a hip-hop night that we used to go to. And then you have to shout out people like D-Lo that did so many things, especially stuff like Madame Jojo's, which was a big part of the UK dance community at some point. It was a club in, it was a nightclub, small nightclub bar type thing in Soho, and it was on a Sunday night they would have like a dancers night basically, but it was all house music, house DJs and that type of thing. And it just used to be where everyone would meet, it was like, if someone was in town for the weekend, you meet them at Jojo's. It's like, okay, what are we going to do? We'll go out sightseeing, we'll go do this, and then we'll go Jojo's in the evening. Even if you're not really like when I used to have friends that were choreo dancers that would come, we go check out Jojo's just because it's like a nice vibe. You can drink, you can sit. There was like a bit at the top, there's lots of seats and stuff. So you could just sit and hang out with your friend. You could go and cypher if you wanted to. There'd be poppers, whackers, breakers, everyone there, obviously house dancers. So it was really like a meeting point for the community. And then we'd have our battles and stuff. And then there was also Arc Bar, which we have to talk about. Zulu was a DJ that ran that. And he was a funk DJ, and yeah, he used to just run this night on a Friday night in Islington, right next to Angel Station. It was a gorgeous location. There were some popping battles that were put on by, I think Goodfoot were the first people who were running battles there, or at least like people who were associated with Goodfoot. But it was this was a crew. Sorry, I realize I'm talking to people who are outside of London and the UK, so I'm trying to give you context. But yeah, in Arc Bar, it was a funk night. But again, the whackers would come, the poppers would come, there'd be some breakers sometimes, some lockers, and it was just a bar. It was relatively small, but, you know, it was just a bar where people would go on. You know, it was on every Friday night. You could pass by. It was relatively cheap. So, and then obviously these places go through, you know, they get closed down or whatever. I think there was a problem with JoJo's where there was a problem with the venue and it caught fire, or it was and then when it came back, it was maybe under new management or something. Basically, the dancers' night got lost in this whole changeover that they had, and they were like given, I think they were like, because it was really cheap to get in. It was like, I don't even know how much it was, but it was really cheap in those days. So then there was, Arc Bar, JoJo's. What came after that? Obviously Trocadero. So Trocadero is a big one for like that next generation. When I first came in the scene, Trocadero didn't exist. It was when I came in the scene, Storm was just ending. I went to maybe one time at Storm, I think, before it closed. It happened for a while, but I was right at the end of it. Then I think JoJo's probably happening around the same time as Storm, but I was more a person that went to JoJo's, Bar Rumba, Arc Bar. I went to a lot because I was into popping, so that was where the popping community was at. And then after that, Trocadero opened. So Trocadero I remember Trocadero from when I was a kid, because my uncle used to take me there. It was like a 4-floor or 3 or 4-floor arcade, like a games arcade in center of London, like Piccadilly Circus. And there would be, like there was bumper cars on the top floor, or dodgems, whatever you call them here. And then arcade games, like 4 floors of arcade games. So my uncle used to take me and my sister there when we were kids. And in the basement bottom floor, where I don't know what used to be there, but basically they opened this big empty space kind of thing with nice flooring, kind of like graffiti designs on the floor. And I don't know what it was supposed to be for, but somehow it became a dancer's space. And I don't know who actually negotiated that. There's, if I had guests here, might be someone who could give me more context. But I mean, write in the comments if you know on YouTube. People have been more active in the comments for better or worse. So thanks guys for chipping in, even if it's to cuss out something I said. But yeah, so someone negotiated that, but Trocadero was like a space where it was like the most central place in this huge city that you could find. And it was just an open space where anyone could come and train pretty much. I think it was like 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. It was like the full day. You could come anytime and just go there. So people used to go there to rehearse. People would go there to cypher, to train. They put on events there. D-Lo, again, did a lot of events there. And what else? The only downside of Trocadero was they didn't have speakers, so you'd have to bring your own speaker, which means like 5 different people would bring speakers all at once, and they'd be like different music playing depending on where you walked, and sometimes it was hard to hear what you were dancing to. But otherwise it was cool. I'm not one that, I don't think we necessarily all have to train together all the time. I do think the like crew aspect especially in a competitive sense, pushes you. But it is really nice now, especially reflecting as I'm older. It is nice to have a place where you can touch base with everyone, and for that to not be only a competitive space. I mean, I think we're quite good in the UK about, there's not any rivalries that are too crazy. Like, there might be personal issues between people, but dance-wise, there'll be rivalries, but no one's getting crazy and fighting or anything like that. So I think our competitive spaces are pretty nice, and it is a place to hang out and chill and talk to people. But every time you go to a battle, mostly, if you're a dancer, you're there to compete. That's why you're going. And if you're not, there's a few times you'll go and watch and stuff like that, but a lot of times if you're a battler, you're going to the ones that you're going to compete at. So it's not the same mindset that you're showing up in that we used to go to JoJo's in, which is like, I know I'm not here to dance or battle anyone. Like, you might get a call out here and there, but you know, you're just there to see your friends and hang out and maybe drink a bit. So it's a different atmosphere, and it was really nice. And I think the dance itself evolves differently in these type of spaces. I think competitive dance is one outlet for the dance, and it does innovate and change the dance. But if we're talking historically, these dances were born in social spaces, and moves were translated between people in a social setting. And I think when you're ciphering, and when you're just not even ciphering, but just dancing to music, like just like you would in a club, and not in a place where, I think there's a thing when you're a dancer, you do you're doing the most a little bit. You're doing a little bit extra than you would be, you know, if you're out in a normal club. But you also might not want to go full on rounds. You might want to do somewhere in the middle. I'm just having fun doing a few steps. I'm not going full. But I'm also not, like, if I go out with normal people, they're going to be like, oh, look, he's a dancer, which gets annoying for us, I think. So these spaces were a great mix, where it's like everyone's dancing there and you can do these steps. You can like learn. Like, I could be there as a popper. And to be honest, I know a little bit of a lot of styles. Probably the thing I know the least is maybe like anything to do with ballroom scene or crump. But like, I know house, pop-in, lock-in, some top rock, but like not good. Like, now if we think in competitive sense, I'm not good at any of this stuff. But can I be in a house club and do a few steps with people? Sure. Like, I know how these things work. And that's only from places like JoJo's, where it wasn't a class where I was like, okay, I'm going to go and learn my house foundation so I can be a good house dancer and enter battles and blah, blah, blah. It was like, I went to JoJo's and I was just dancing with a friend, and they were there just doing a 2-step, and I was dancing, and then they would do a little something else, and next thing you know, I know 4 or 5 house steps, but not because I wanted to, oh, how do I do the technique? Where should my hips be? No, I'm just socially dancing with you, and I pick up steps. And I think that means that the way I would learn those steps was very already, my style was baked in, because I wasn't trying to copy a teacher or something. I was just and then I'd do that same step with 4 other people, and then I'd see how they did it. And I think there's a really different way that social dances spread, or cultural dances spread in social settings, and I think it's really, really important. So I think, yeah, you know, we've had these spaces. Sorry, oh my God, I was talking about Trocadero. So Trocadero was that space. It wasn't so much of a social dance setting. It was more of a social training setting. And then when Trocadero closed down, there was a lot of people that put a lot of work in trying to save it. But at the end of the day, it was a private establishment. So they just found better uses for it, because they needed that space, and we weren't paying anything for it. So yeah, it got closed down. Then Charing Cross station had like there's an open walkway that Dilo made into basically a training spot. He agreed with whoever was the businesses there that we would be allowed to have an underground spot where people could just go and train, and no one would really bother us. There was a few problems with, like, because anyone could just walk in, so then the people that were there, and it was not very clean and that type of thing. So that didn't work out, but it was great while it lasted. I know if I'm missing anywhere, there's probably a few places that I missed, but I'm talking from my experience to what I've experienced in the scene. And I know a lot of the younger generation here, and maybe people from outside of London, hear this stuff, and they didn't know what Trocadero was. They didn't know any of these, like, JoJo's, and we always talk about it in such like a fond kind of way. So I think with the Nike Own the Floor sessions, full circle, that was kind of the idea. Like, was I went to Nike with this pitch, basically, and I told them about all the sessions and all the things that we used to have. And I said to them, we don't have that in the UK anymore. And it's a big thing that's missing. And I think, you know, best case scenario would be Nike just buy us a club and say, there you go, have it. But this is the most realistic version of that. So we said it would be great to have a dancers night. One would be cool, but, you know, if people miss it, they miss it. You know, it's, you know, you can't really build friendships. You can't really whatever. So we kind of worked on it, and full credit to Nike. They really pushed this idea from very minimum. They were like, well, how can we make it bigger? How can we make it better? I always shout out Harry from Nike, but she was really like, right, what's the version that looks bigger? How can we make this cooler? So we ended up doing 6 in a very nice venue. I'm so excited for people to see the venue. It's great. And yeah, so we're going to do these 6 events. The other thing is that from Nike's, from I've kind of spoke about, what my perspective is and why this is important. But one thing that I do agree with as well, but Nike want to really push young women in the dance scene. And like I said, if we're talking about those sessions, is like those spaces that can be intimidating for the best of us could maybe be even more intimidating if you're like a 14, 15-year-old girl going to train with all these grown-ups and they're going hard and you're like, oh my God, I just wanted to try this out. Like, it's not, you have classes, and that's why I think partially why the choreo scene is so big. Obviously, there's loads of opportunities, way more than the battle scene, but it's also that funnel that you can go and it happened to me. Like, I went to just try a dance class and fucking look at where I am now. But it just came from me like wanting to try a dance class once with a friend, and it just caught me. Like, I went to that class, did well, and then I was like, let me try and find a better class or a harder class or a teacher that I like more or blah, blah. And it just kept going. Then I was like, well, now I'm training with these guys in this class. They asked me to do a show. Now I did the show. I saw 5 other groups. Who's Bird Gang? Let me go and check them out. And I just fell into dance. Whereas with the battle scene, it's very hard to like fall into the battle scene. You have to make an intentional decision to go to battles. I mean, the whole thing of the capsule is to make that easier and for people to be able to like almost casually consume some of this stuff and then go, oh, well, Luke always talks about this event, like, let me go check it out, or whatever it might be, right? So, yeah, I think the thing with these type of sessions, like the Nike Own the Floor sessions that we're doing, is that they will enable, it's 16 plus, so you've got to be at least 16 or older, and there's no alcohol there or anything like that. But it hopefully is a space where anyone can come and, like, even if you're not a dancer, you can just come and hang out and listen to good music. Like, it's not going to be like, like dancers putting on their favorite battle beats. It's like a club night with good music. So you can just come and hang out, do a little 2-step, hang out with people, meet some friends, talk to people. And then if you find yourself getting more and more drawn in over the 6 months and you end up in a cypher by the last one, fantastic. Like, this is more of a way for you to be drawn in. And dancers, you've probably got friends who are always asking, oh, what can I come to? What can I come to? Battles sometimes are a bit long to bring friends who aren't dancers to, because they, if you're sitting on the floor for 6 hours watching prelims, it's like, and maybe you don't want to invite that person. Or it's like, some of us are, for the people who are grown-ups in this, you might want to be like, hey, there's a girl or a guy that I'm dating, and I want to bring them and be like, hey, come and check me out, looking cool, and see all my dancer friends. Maybe you don't want to bring them to a battle because it's a long day and it's boring, but maybe you do want to bring them to something like this, and it's somewhere where you can, it's a whole different environment. And I think the thing is, for the kind of current generation who weren't around for Trocadero even, or let alone any of the other ones, this is also for you guys. Like, this is so that you have something to say. Oh, when the new generation come and you talk about the Nike Own the Floor sessions, and they're like, oh, what was that? And you're like, oh, you had to be there, So it's like, I really want to add to this legacy of all these open dance spaces and social dance spaces, because people have been talking about the scene needing social dance spaces for a long time. So we did it. Well, at least for the next 6 months. We're announcing it now, but this has been in the works. I think we had our first meeting in like February 2023. So it's almost a year that we've been working on this. So I'm so happy to finally get it out there and announce it. I think it's going to be great. Obviously, obviously the Capsule are going to be there. This is like an official now partnership between Nike and the Capsule, which I'm so excited about, and it's a co-curated event. And we're gonna obviously be there. There'll be content. This is another thing for the current generation. I'm not living in the past. I know a lot of what is important is stuff like social media and getting your rounds filmed and stuff like that. So we're gonna be there. There'll be a photographer. There'll be someone from the Capsule filming, and we're gonna, capture rounds, and which we're gonna share with all the dancers as well. So you'll be able to get some, good quality rounds filmed and stuff, as well as having fun and ciphering. That's for the cipher heads. Obviously, you don't have to. There's no pressure to be filmed, but we'll be around there with the camera. And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I've missed, but yeah, I'm just so excited. I want to say a massive thank you to the Nike team. Obviously, the battle went really well, and that type of response from the scene really helped us to do more, and which helps us do more for the scene. That's kind of what's really great. And the more kind of you guys give open feedback to us, after the Nike battle, loads of people gave me feedback. Not all of it was just positive. There was things that people didn't like, or that we knew the stuff that didn't go as planned, I guess. But all that feedback was super helpful. Even, guys, you don't understand, like, commenting on stuff is huge these days. Not just our posts, but like if there's a content creator that's huge that you support, you don't understand how much like commenting and liking and all that stuff really goes a long way. Like, they were looking at the comments that were on, we did a collaborative post after the event, and Nike London posted it. And like the comments on there, they were looking at going, wow, people liked it. So sometimes I do it where I'll just pass by a post and I'll click like, and I'm like, oh, I love that event. But I won't say it. I'll just keep scrolling. But it's like to take the time to actually comment and go, yo, this event was sick. Or yo, I watched this full podcast. It was really good. Or yo, I don't know. I was at the theater when you did this performance. I loved it, Even if it's someone super big or famous, or like that you don't think needs it, like you never know how important that is to people. So yeah, just all you guys' engagement, feedback, positive and negative, really, really helped. So thanks for that. And yeah, hopefully these go amazing, and hopefully we can keep pushing and doing more stuff. Yeah, I just don't want to miss anything, but I think that's kind of everything. Yeah, the venue is like Old Street, Shoreditch, like great location. It's going to be free. If I didn't say that, it's going to be free. So yeah, 16 plus, don't have to pay anything, but you do have to register quick on Friday the 12th for the first event. We're going to put out the dates. I'll leave them in the description of the YouTube video and the audio. You can also find them on our Instagram. And the link to register will be in our bio, as it was for the Nike battle. So yeah, guys, thank you everyone for your support. That's helped us to get even this far, and I really hope to see you at the Nike Own the Floor sessions in collaboration with the Capsule. And yeah, it's going to be so sick. Can't wait. Really can't wait. I'm pretty sure that's everything on that. Yeah, I think that's everything on that. I will talk a bit about the weekend, because why not? Because it was a dance-packed weekend. We had Kingdoms League on the Saturday, and then I went to Swansea for ThroneZone battles, which I judged hip-hop at. Kingdoms League, again, for those that aren't from the UK or don't know, Kingdoms League is a league that was set up between, I want to say 6 events, but it might be more than that. A few big events in the UK. They came together to make a league, and basically it's a point system. You get a a certain amount of points. If you enter prelims, you get a certain amount of points. If you get through to whatever round, if you win, you come second, you get different points. And then at the end of the year, or in this case, at the beginning of the year, they do a event, which is the finale, which is all of them come together and run this event together. And it kind of works off the points that you've gained in the year. The way it's, all right, tell me if you can stick with me through this concept. Let me know. The way it goes is that if you have no points, you haven't entered the league, you have to enter, there's 2 ciphers. One's for pop and one's for hip hop, happening at the same time. And from those ciphers, the judges are in there and watching. They pick 5 people who've never entered the league. They're 5 fresh people who can be thrown in the mix. Those 5 people join everyone who had points but didn't qualify in the top, like, however many, right? And all of those people who have points but didn't qualify in the top thing of the league do a prelim. Out of that prelim, this is the same for popping and hip hop. Out of that prelim, they pick a total of 8 people. So that's everyone that's entered the league and 5 new people, all in the prelims. They pick 8 people. Those 8 people do a battle. So then you're left with 4 in each category. Those 4 people do a round robin, which means everyone battles everyone, one after another. So from that, there was, I think, 3 people in popping, 3 people in, I can't remember, 3 people in one of the categories and 2 in the other. Those people join the top 6 or 5. I think it depended on how many people could actually make the finale. But I think in one of the styles, there was 5 people, that the top 5. So then you had the 3 from the round robin who joined them to make the top 8. And then 2 and 6 made the top 8 in the other style. So now you've got 8. A majority of those were the top pointers in the league. And the other ones were people that have like fought their way up from the prelims or even from the ciphers. Then you go top 8, they get to pick who they want to battle, and it's kind of just a normal knockout battle from there. The points that they have, so let's say I start that top 8 and throughout the year I've gained 30 points. That is equivalent to me starting with £30. If I battle someone that has £20 and I beat them, I get their money, so I get £50. They still leave with £20. They get given £20. They get to go home. And then I get also their £20. And I now have 50. So then when I battle the next person, I have 50. They have 30. So then if they beat me, they take my 50 and move on, right? So then by the time you win, you get your prize, but you also get those points that you've accumulated through not only the year, but also through your battles. You get those converted to money as well, which is a really cool concept, actually. Very interesting. So even if you, I don't know, you could still go home with a tenner or something, you know? And yeah, it was sick. There was a few international people that came over. I will say there's 2 kids, Darren and Willis, who I've heard of and I've seen clips of. They've gone viral a few times on different platforms. They are the real deal. Like, they really are the real deal. Sometimes people go viral or like you hear their names and then you're like, oh, they're just popular, you know. But these people are sick. I think they're young. They both entered the under 18, so they're definitely like, I would even say under 16. But they killed it. Really, really, really good. Just mature understanding of dance, incredible performance and execution, great battlers, really mature. Like they took their losses, like a mature adult. Really went ham. Like there was a battle between Turf and Darren. Turf and Willis. There was a battle between Turf and Willis, and it was fire. Absolutely fire. And like Turf had good fucking rounds. And like, I don't know how much older Turf is than Willis, but it's like, I was like, damn, that was a good round. And then Willis came back with some fire as well. And it's like to not be overwhelmed by the room blowing up like that. It's just shows like a maturity and a you're used to performing and battling. So yeah, I was super impressed by them. So massive shout out to those two. Also Sage was there. That guy is a killer. He's from Germany, lovely guy as well. Just a great presence in the room. Like there's something different about people that are like of a certain level, and we have a few of them here in the UK, but Sage is definitely one of those on an international circuit that's like, when you see them, you're like, okay, that's the next level of dance. Like his presence and performance is like, and I always talk about this when I teach, but it's like it almost like feels bigger. I mean, he is physically bigger, but even someone else that's his size, you feel like he could dance on a big stage and it would look good. And there's some people that can't translate to a big stage. And it's like people like him, they have the ability to like make that shit look big and good on a big stage and on camera as well. But yeah, Sage is dope and just great creative hip hop dance. Like really, really good shit, man. And we had a lot of the UK guys there. It was really good actually. Yeah, really, really good level battles. And yeah, I don't know what else to say on Kingdoms League. It was good, fun event. Glad to start off the year with that. We did film everything, and the videos are coming tomorrow because I need to get this out today about the Nike announcement and everything. But Kingdoms League videos are coming in full. We filmed everything. You guys cannot wait to put like if I wasn't at ThroneZone, I probably would have been able to get them out next day. But like people already started sharing their rounds. I'm like, give me 48 hours, please. But yeah, I mean, also guys, if you're taking longer than a week to post your battle footage, it's like it's this day and age is too long. I mean, 48 hours is a bit too long for me personally. I'm like, if I wasn't at ThroneZone, like I said, I would have had them out. But yeah, you can't be getting battle footage out more than a week later. Not Kingdom League, I mean anyone else, because Kingdom League are going to have their battle footage out because they worked with the Capsule. Oh, what up? But yeah, shout out to all those guys that put on that event. We love you. They're all legends in the UK scene. Sean, Dixon, Brooke, Clara, Kieran are the main organisation. I think Tyler also with MSB. Yeah, they're all just great people, and I love to see people, you know, get to a certain point in their careers and then start doing stuff to like give back to the scene. And I think that's kind of the way it should be, you know. It's like the reason I do this is like how much I gained from the dance scene growing up and how much it changed who I am as a person. I want to contribute to doing that for other people as well. And the only reason it happened for me is because there were people in positions like I said about people like D-Lo or Clara even in those days, or Charlie from Throwdown. I didn't talk about Throwdown because it was more of a battle thing, but that is a whole other space that the community used to touch base at. But like without Charlie going out of his way to do Throwdown, without, you know, D-Lo doing JoJo's or the other things that he did, without Clara doing the events that she did, without Kimberly J doing Style Fest, without you know, people putting on private sessions that I would go to like Super Malcolm and stuff like that, without or you know, obviously like I said, Zulu doing Arc Bar, without who else, without all of these things, I don't become a dancer or get into the dance that I'm doing. At least I was doing choreo before that, but without them I don't become who I am. The Capsule doesn't happen. A lot of growing and maturing that I've done as a person doesn't happen. A lot of the friends that I've made I don't make. So like it's also part of why I want to, you know, give back those opportunities. But I love seeing people like Brooke, Clara, Dixon, Sean, Kieran doing the same for other people, because I'm sure they would tell the same stories, you know, about people that put them on and gave them space to become who they are, you know. Um, and then ThroneZone was, first of all, far away. I drove 8 hours in one day by myself, but it's all good. And it was in Swansea. Yeah, shout out to them for that organization. It was actually quite a nice vibe. I mean, when I first started coming up in the dance scene, I sound like such an old man. There was a lot more local battles. Like there'd be one in like Sheffield, one in Manchester, one in this place, one in Nottingham, one in here. And there'd be loads of them. And it would be like almost as frequent as the London ones. Maybe not as frequent, but yeah, there'd be loads of these little local battles. And they never tried to be big, huge things, you know. It was more just like a small thing in a bar. But it was nice to be like, all right, let's go travel to this place. Let's go travel to this place. And we'd see the people from that local scene. And that would be their, you know, their people from that city would judge, people from that city would DJ, blah, blah, blah. And we would go and compete and you'd get the London dancers that would come up. But it was really like, it built, you know, because like, for example, you have Groovinometry, which is great in the Manchester scene. But then that Groovinometry at this point is very much an international battle. You know what I mean? It's not a Manchester battle, even though it is. It's like, it's become so big that it's like international. And I think there's also a little magic in these small local events. I think it's quite nice to have that. And that's kind of what ThroneZone felt like. It was like a small local jam. They had people from Swansea judging. As far as I could tell, did a pretty decent job. Like I didn't disagree with any of the decisions in the popping that I saw, really. And then I judged hip hop. I'm definitely not a Swansea local. The flipping top 16 of hip hop was way higher level than I expected at a small jam like that. Jesus. Some hard decisions, but and I hate it, but I don't enjoy being a judge by myself because I think I'm a pretty decent judge for hip hop now. But I think part of what makes judging is having a range of opinions or judgments, let's say, not opinions, because everyone will have a stressy meltdown if I say opinions. But like, yeah, if you have like 3 or 4 or 5 different people that are all giving their judgment, it kind of evens out. And, you know, like we did the 2-on-2 through all 3 of us, we judged. And there were times when we voted differently. And I think that's what, you know, that kind of what makes it more fair. And also, if you get 1 vote out of 3, even if you lose, it still feels like, oh, almost. Or if you get, you know, like a tie and then 1 each way and you go an extra round, it's like, oh yeah, almost. But then if it's just me judging and I try and not tie, it's just like, you know, 2 people, like Isaiah battled, who did he battle? Kane or Carl? One of the 2. And I voted for, he lost basically, but it was so close. And I don't want to tie because I'm paid to make a decision, but it's hard to I said it to him as soon as the battle finished. I was like, yo, it was close. But like, I feel bad because it's like, I literally just have to go bang. And it's like, that feels like, oh, I lost solidly because I'm making such a firm decision, but I'm making a firm decision because that's what I'm paid to do. But it doesn't mean it wasn't like, fuck, that's so close. And even if it's just like 1 tiny thing better, I still am going to make the firm decision like that. So it's just, you know, it's nice sometimes when you have the 3 and someone gets at least 1 vote because you're like, all right, yeah, like they didn't win, but at least someone, you know, in one person's eye, they did win. You know, we did Funkin' Styles. We won the UK qualifier. It was me, Marvel, my friend Mus, who was in the popping scene a while back, who doesn't live here anymore. Midair, Simon, great guy. He hosted Last One Standing recently. And Benji, who's a b-boy from way back when. And we won the UK qualifier and we went to Germany to do the battle. And we got Team Japan first round and we lost by quite a lot. But there was like, I think there was like 5 judges and Khalif voted for us. And I still remember that to this day because I know we lost. Like, you know, Team Japan were amazing. It was like the good people from Team Japan. And we lost, but I was like, damn, in Khalif's eyes, if he was judging that battle alone, we would have beat Team Japan. Like, in his head, he thought we won, which is sick, you know. And it's just like, I'm happy, you know. I'm not mad at the loss, but I just, this was 2012 maybe, like more than 10 years ago. And I still remember one vote that I got. So I don't know. I just think it means a lot to know that you didn't absolutely get wiped, because sometimes it looks like that when one judge just goes like that. Anyway, all that to say, ThroneZone was cool. Yeah, nice vibe. I think there's some things that could be worked on, as with any event. But you know me, I'm always happy to voice out my critiques of an event. But yeah, it was pretty good. It ran to time. Like I said, there's a few things that I would change to make the event better, but there's nothing that I was like, oh, that was wrong with the event. You know what I mean? Like, there was not. Maybe the dance space is a little bit small. That's about it. If I'm being really like critical, but you know, there's nothing that I'm like, oh, that's messed up about the actual day of the event, the way it ran and stuff. It was like, it was pretty good. I would recommend going. Like, and I think it's good. Like I was saying before about, you know, it's a local event to Swansea. It's like, it's their kind of scene. There's also the UBG battles in Cardiff now. But yeah, I think it's nice for these events to put on their own. It doesn't need to be a huge international battle to, you know, to support your scene. And it gives, you know, at ThroneZone, there was a lot of people that entered that were like Swansea or Wales dancers. And I think that's good. That's you need those spaces to have your own scene and do things for you guys, and then come to London or go internationally or whatever. But yeah, so keep it up, ThroneZone. And yeah, guys, if you know, I say support these events, but I don't mean just be nice if there's something you don't agree with. You know, if you need to tell them that you didn't like something, tell them. But those events are like, really, don't only come to the London ones. Go to the little local ones, and like, that's where you train and test your stuff and you know, exchange with people. So yeah, well, thanks for having me. Also, ThroneZone, great vibe as well. Everyone was super lovely, and yeah, made it worth 8 hours of driving in one day. I believe that's it. Oh, we did have a few questions actually from like last week, which I wasn't actually going to do this podcast by myself, but that's a story for another time. But I'll just answer a few of the questions in my opinion. Somebody asked, what is authenticity in dance and how to discover yours? What is authenticity in dance? That's the key part of that question for me, is like, what is it? I think authenticity is like finding yourself in the culture of the dance, not necessarily just the steps and the movement. The culture needs to come first. And it's like, you can tell, I have a bit of an issue with people that are like, they dress up like, they dress hip-hoppy to go and do battles or whatever, but then in their normal life, they don't dress like that. It's like the way you are and the way you act should be how you are in the dance, you know? I know there's people that disagree with me because they think that the performance part of dance is like, you can have a persona and put on a character. But I think it's like the way this stuff evolved is like, it's cultural stuff. So the way I dress on any given day, like now, is maybe how I would dress in a battle. I might dress nicer. I might put like the better version of those clothes on, but it's not like, you know, if I'm going out to, you might see me, what I wore to pop in at Kingdoms League, I might wear out to lunch with my mum. Like, it's part of who I am. And I think there are a lot of people that have that. And the music that I listen to is the same music I train to, or you know, I'm who I am. You know, when I'm in a battle, I'm a bit of an asshole in a funny way, but I'm never like super confrontational unless I really have an issue with someone. And that's who I am in real life. You know, it's like, it takes quite a lot to rile me up to really be that outwardly confrontational. But I do like being I like making jabs at people or jokes or this type of thing. And that's who I am in a battle. And I think this is kind of how you find I really do feel like I found my authenticity in the dance side of things a while ago. And I think it came from, who am I in the culture of, how do I fit into this culture? And I think being from London helps in the sense that we have our own version of like hip hop culture, which is like, I always talk about like grime culture and stuff like that. Like, I grew up in secondary school in London, you know, like listening to some of these grime MCs before they even had, you know, it was like stuff that was like leaked on, you know, people were passing around on their Bluetooth on their phones. It's like you were listening to like Tiny Temper before he was famous, and it was just like him on a shitty recording, and you're like, oh, this is sick. And it's like this culture of like the music of grime and stuff kind of, that's what brought me into hip hop culture. So I think wherever you're from, you have, I don't know, if you're from Sweden, there'll be like Swedish rappers and stuff. And what is that version of hip hop and how does it work? You know, it's gonna feel different in every place. And if you can connect to the culture in some way, what's your version of social dancing? Like, where do you dance? How do you dance? Like, I grew up with a lot of the like social dances of my era, which was like walk it out and snap your fingers, do your step and all that. Even like some of the like chicken noodle soup and all that type of stuff was like, we grew up, like when I was like 15, we were doing that at house parties with my friends. So I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, I grew up doing the Running Man, because I didn't. That's the stuff that I learned once I became a dancer. But because that was like 90s when I was still young. But when I got to be an adult, it was in the 2000s, and that's those type of social dances, and the music I was listening to was different. So I think just being real about who you are and where you came in, and not trying to pretend like, oh yeah, I always grew up listening to like, I don't know, whoever, like Tribe Called Quest. If you didn't, you know, I grew up listening to 50 Cent and Fabulous, and that was my era. So if you're being real about that and you connect to it through that, then the dance is going to come naturally, because the art will imitate who you are, you know. Anyway, how to discover yours? Yeah, that's what I answered. One question is Memphis Jukin and the battle scene. I love Memphis Jukin. I've said this before. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite styles, if not my favorite style. If Memphis Jukin was as big as like some of the other styles, I'd only do that in the UK. I think I was talking to Kieran about it, and he was saying that like in Light Feet, the way a lot of Light Feet came into the hip hop freestyle scene is because Light Feet dancers went to hip hop battles and entered and did Light Feet, and some of them didn't win, but they did just like pretty authentic Light Feet in these hip hop battles, and people were like, oh, what's this? And it became a movement from them bringing it. So I think there are a few people in Europe and in the UK that do Memphis Jukin, but I would say please bring it into the battle scene and like come and do Memphis Jukin and show us like how that looks in a battle context, and like bring it more to the forefront. Like people with anything, people aren't going to come to you. You have to like go to them. So yeah, I love that thing. And just to shout out a couple of pages, there's a page called Memphis Jukin, JOOKIN, which is a big page for like the worldwide kind of community, I think. And then there's another one, memphisjukin.uk, which I think is like some of the UK people that do it. So check them out for sure. Yeah, that style is so good. I did Little Buck's workshop. It was one of my favorite workshops I've done. Just really, really sick. I love the feeling of the style. I'm really inspired by it with like my hip hop and the way I do certain steps or moves. It's like I love that heavy footed kind of feeling when they step. Anyway, yeah, if you haven't seen Memphis, you can check it out. It's dope. And please, can we bring that more into the UK scene? What's the best way to learn battle techniques? Well, I'm teaching a battle. Well, I didn't write this question to myself. I'm teaching a workshop at the Jam Festival in April, battle technique. And I'm also teaching freestyle basics as a separate workshop. So you can come to that workshop. I know Sheldon Tribeways just did a battle workshop. Marvel was talking about potentially doing a battle workshop at some point. If you see any of those pop up, go to those. Otherwise, it's just how to learn battle techniques is the same question as how do you be competitive. So when you go to do bowling with friends, or you go to play basketball, or you go to play five-a-side football, what is the aspect of what you're doing that's competitive, right? Is it that you're trying to push the person to do their best so that, you know, you can also raise your level? Are you trying to distract the person from what they're doing? Are you trying to make them angry so they're not focused on what they're doing? Are you trying to whatever? It's just battle techniques is just how to be competitive, right? It's not anything special really, says the guy that's about to teach a whole workshop on it. But like, the whole point of battle techniques, everyone just watches YouTube and they think you're just supposed to scream and shout at your opponent and be like, oh, you bite in or copy, oh, you're this, and you repeat it, and doing all these things that you've seen B-boys on YouTube do. But the whole point is that the reason people do that is to get in someone's head. And if you get in their head, they're thinking about you and they're not thinking about their round, which means they're not in the prime mindset to create. But some people need aggression to create. Like, they create from that competitive atmosphere. If you've watched anything about Michael Jordan or whatever, it's like, the whole I took that personal thing. It's like, there's some people that I know, if I go at them and rile them up, they'll dance better, which is the opposite of what I want. I want them to dance worse. So then I would be really nice and smile and clap and tell them they're amazing. And then they would be like, oh, fuck, I don't know how to battle against someone who tells me I'm good. So battle techniques is not about being angry or shouting or anything like that. It's about getting in someone's head, potentially, if that's the route you want to go down. It's also about exposing someone's weaknesses. So if they do a floor move and they fall, you don't need to slap the floor and shout that they fell. Do your own floor work and don't fall. That's a battle technique, is that I saw you trip when you did that floor work. I'm going to highlight that by doing a similar floor work move, but make it clean as shit. And then the judges are going to go, oh shit, like that. Yeah, now that really shows that he fell or whatever. Or if someone's not hitting on beat in popping, they're off beat with their hits, just start with like a few counts of like really solidly just sitting in the beats, and just, that's all battle techniques. It's about highlighting their weaknesses and counteracting if there's something they did well, either you do it better, or if there's something they did badly, you do that but better, or whatever. You find the holes, you find the chink in their armor, and that's all battle technique. There's way more to it, and how you engage the judges, how you engage the crowd and use them to whatever, and how you draw people into certain things. It's all mind games and it's all psychology, but it's not a crazy, huge, big deal, but it's just about, it's about being competitive. It's like when you go bowling with your friends and you're trying to put your friend off bowling and you're like, or you're talking shit to each other. And so it's the same shit. It's just a game and you're just being competitive. So yeah. All right, we'll leave it there because now we're just hitting an hour, and I said it would be a quick one. So, yeah, to recap, love you all. Thanks for being a part of the capsule. We're looking forward to another year of doing this. And, I'm happy with where we're at. I'm going to keep trying to push more and do bigger things, because I think there's way more contribution that I want to contribute to the scene. And we can put it this way, the more you guys engage, and I know there's plenty of people out there who are like, what I'll call like silent supporters, and we love you. And I know you're listening right now. You might be in your car, you might be driving, whatever, you're watching it at home, and you're a person that is like, you'll watch every episode, or you'll watch a lot of the episodes, or you'll watch some of the episodes, you'll watch the clips, blah, blah, blah. But you might not comment, or you might, whatever. I would urge you, because for me, the podcast listeners, you guys are like the core audience of the capsule. You are the people that really ride with us, especially if you're listening to an hour of me by myself. But we need, the more you engage, the more you comment, the more you like, the more you tell people about the podcast, you tell people to follow the page or whatever, the more we can do and give back. Because a lot of it is about the numbers, and the more people you have that you can reach, the more stuff you can do. I'll say just that for now. So yeah, we're trying to push the engagement and the numbers on everything, because I know there's people out there, and every time I go to an event, there's people giving us compliments or saying that something that happened on the capsule, or they enjoyed it. So it's just like, please kind of show that support online, so that we can show your support to people who will then give us stuff that we can give back to you. If that makes any sense to you. I'm speaking in riddles, but yeah, just to say, love you guys. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas and Happy New Year and everything. And looking forward to 2024. I'm super excited, especially about this first half of the year. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the scene grow. And, you know, I'm just, yeah, happy days. All right, well, catch you guys next week where there will be some guests. And hope you enjoy the new layout. And that is all. Peace out, guys.